Let's hear it for the band. Everybody, come on in. Plenty of seats still. Good afternoon. I'm Rev Jay Wolin, the minister here at the Unitarian Universalist of Sarasota. A human life is sacred. It is sacred in its being born, it is sacred in its living, and it is sacred in its dying. We've come together today to remember Synia Carroll, to celebrate her life and to mourn her death. It's a time to remember the person she was, the life that she lived, and the impact that her life had on us and the world. We will share some readings, some music, and some remembrances. I'll start with a reading from Maya Angelou, When Great Trees Fall. When great trees fall, rocks on distant hills shudder. Lions hunker down in tall grasses, and even elephants lumber to safety. When great trees fall in forests, small things recoil into silence, their senses eroded beyond fears. When great souls die, the air around us becomes light, rare, sterile. We breathe briefly. Our eyes briefly see with a hurtful clarity. Our memory suddenly sharpens, examines, gnaws on kind of words unsaid, promised walks never taken. Great souls die, and our reality, bound to them, takes leave of us. Our souls, dependent upon their nurture, now shrink, wizened. Our minds, formed and informed by their radiance, fall away. We are not so much maddened as reduced to the unutterable ignorance of dark, cold caves. And when great souls die after a period, peace blooms, slowly and always irregularly. Spaces fill with a kind of soothing electric vibration, our senses restored, never to be the same, whisper to us. They existed. They existed. We can be and be better because they existed. As we light our chalice, let its light symbolically lead us through our grief. In the light of truth and in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share and to comfort each other.
Good afternoon. Myself, Grant, and Tony accompanied Synia many times, among those was what was her last full concert, which was here at this church on January 17th. She asked me to prepare a song that she really wanted to do, which we will play for you now. But I'd like to read part of the lyrics because I think it really spoke to her, and it's very prescient for today. No complaints and no regrets. I still believe in chasing dreams and placing bets. But I've learned that all you give is all you get. So you give it all you've got. I had my share, I drank my fill, and even though I'm satisfied, I'm hungry still to see what's down another road beyond the hill and do it all again. So here's to life and every joy it brings. Here's to life, to dreamers and their dreams.
So we are here today to celebrate the life and mourn the death of Synia Carroll, friend, mother, spouse, born March 7th, 1958, died March 14th. I mean, I cannot believe that she was actually a year older than me. I mean, I would have guessed she was 20 years younger than me until I saw the obituary. I mean, she just had such a presence, such a energy about her. But those things were just facts and numbers, the dates and so forth. A person's life is made up of so many moments in between those dates, really. And I'll start by saying that life just doesn't make sense sometimes. It doesn't. Right? Why someone so talented, so full of spirit, so full of energy, such a beautiful soul, dies at this day and age would be considered a young age. Makes no sense at all. And I will not stand here and try to make rationalizations for you. Life is just cruel that way sometimes. Grief, sadness are natural. They're natural in instances such as this, and healing will take time. Healing is different for different people, and people act in different ways, and some people take longer than others. There is no getting around the grief, just through the grief. And may our presence here today, this hour, help bring each other comfort in the long days that are ahead of you. Synia's life was a well-lived life, though. I am sure most of you will remember, Synia's infectious smile and her warm heart. Her soulful singing here on Sundays, at our Sunday services, lifted people's hearts and spirits up. And as well, she lifted our consciousness up as well. Synia was about sharing her love, her spirit, her talent with the world. And even during the last week of her life, when she knew the end of this life was near, she was calling people and sharing her love with them. In the Unitarian Universalist tradition, we focus on the life someone lived, right? How a person's life impacted us in the community that they lived in to help us deal with the sorrow. And we all need each other, and that's why we share remembrances here today. And so I offer up this prayer to the universe as we all go through this journey together. O eternal Spirit of life and love, as we mourn, please open our hearts and our minds to be truly in touch with our feelings, and allow us to express what is in our hearts to those we love and those who love us. We as a people are aware that we live and die, that we can create and destroy. Let us remember to create. Let us remember to experience beauty and love and compassion for each other. Give us the strength to endure the pain of loss and the wisdom to give thanksgiving. Thanksgiving for a life that touched us and filled our lives. Let us go on living by learning from those lives that have gone before us. Let us live by learning from looking within the depths of our souls. Let us live by learning from others in our life. Let us live fully and true to our spirit, so that when our life is over, we will gain comfort that it had been a well-lived life. Amen. And now I invite Synia's husband, Ed, to come up and share a reflection.
So I've spoken in this room many times, usually to my fellow jazz club members. And
And first thing I want to do is I want to welcome all of you present and all of you viewing on the internet, on YouTube, for joining us today. I thank you on behalf of Synia's family, including Janina McQuillan, who's here with us, Synia's son Jesse, who's in Connecticut, his sister Frances and brother Earl in Pennsylvania, and her father-in-law Ed Sr. in Daytona. Your love and support, not just today, means so much to us. Before I make my comments about Synia, I also have some thank yous to make. I want to thank Rev Jay Wolin and the United Universalist Church of Sarasota as a community of caring and support. They've just been wonderful. Chris, Matt, and Tony, you are as beautiful as the music you make. Thank you. I also want to thank I can't get through this part. I'm in trouble later. I want to thank Brenda Watty, Synia's sister in song, and she'll be blessing us with a medley later in the program. I want to thank a number of photographers, Allison Brown, who came down from New Jersey, Jane Droger, Betsy Gertz, who's no longer with us, Carol Lorico, and Steve Splain, who are responsible for many of the photographs that you see around the room, and many others on the internet. This picture here to my right is of Synia singing in this venue, taken by Carol Lorico, who is the house photographer for the Jazz Club. I also want to thank a circle of incredible women who, during Synia's decline, provided her and Janina and I with amazing support. I also want to thank Janina's dear friend, Martha Machabelli, and my son, Eamon, for supporting us during Synia's final time. And finally, I have to thank Janina. I have to say these words. Janina, your strength, your intelligence, your judgment, and your love. Thank you. So, now the hard part. So I have some friends in the theater world. They're present today in the room. And I've often heard them talk about actors not knowing what to do with their hands on stage and the importance of props. So we have this table here. And for those of you who've attended Synia's concerts here in town, you most likely recognize the table. It served a practical purpose. It usually had not only a bottle of water, but also a glass of hot tea and lemon and a little honey. Any vocalist in the room will understand the need for both, and that water better not be chilled. And always on the table were these flowers, who amazingly, they get dusty, but that's about all. And until today, a single photograph of her mom, Helen. And of course, today we've added Synia's photograph. It says something about Synia that when she was going to do a concert and she'd figured out her song list and figured out her program and shared it at the last minute with the musicians. Hey, she shared it. She wasn't just calling songs. That she would always have a photograph of her mom. And if you know Synia, that's about the fact that she was always functioning in different levels. Yes, she was here to present her art, to connect to you, but she was also staying connected to her origins. And that sometimes is challenging in relating to Synia because, especially if you're a concrete sequential person, because she could be all over the place, making connections all over the place. And sometimes starting the conversation in the middle of what she was thinking about and absolutely using no nouns. And so pronouns are nice, but nouns are more helpful if you want to be involved. I could just listen, that's not my style. It got to be a routine. She'd talk for a couple of minutes and I'd say, nouns, I need nouns. And of course they were there. So I have a few stories I want to share that I think are enlightening about this person, Synia Carroll. First of all, her name. Synia Carroll Linehan is her legal name. I know because I was with her when she went to the probate court in New Haven and had it legally changed. But she wasn't born Synia. She was born Judith. And to this day, her brother Earl, and maybe some other extended family in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, still call her Judy, because Judy is the little girl that grew up in their family. So how did she become Synia? Well, now I think there are different stories out there. So I'm only going to tell the one that I understand and that I know and that I will swear she told me. She was in the basement playing. Apparently that was not a punishment. She was in the basement playing, and she had a vision. She's looking up at the floor joists, and carved into the floor joists was the name Synia. And she knew instantly that was her name as an Indian princess. And so she held on to that. She didn't start using it, I believe, professionally and then personally until either college or just after college. So there was a transition period when she was both Judy and Synia. So that, to me, that speaks to her creativity, both as a little girl imagining that she was an Indian princess and that the name was sent to her. Synia the creative. A few years later, in Connecticut, she was single, I was single. I was on one of those dating things. Synia was the only person I ever saw on Match.com that I actually knew. I know this woman. She's a good person. So I pursued her. All right, I pursued her. I know what you're thinking. Why wasn't it automatic? I don't understand either. But she told me, and again, I guess if I have to believe the name story, I have to believe this too. She told me I was trying too hard. That might be true. My teachers never said I tried too hard, but she did. So it was an early date, and I was still at the trying to impress stage. And for those of you who are familiar with Connecticut, we had taken an autumn drive up Route 7 in Western Connecticut, and we stopped for dinner in Kent. And there's a great little restaurant there called Drum and Fife. Very romantic, a little pricey, but hey, I'm trying to impress. And we go in and we have a nice table, and as luck would have it, there was a piano player just maybe 15, 20 feet away, playing essentially background music. As piano players know, the people are going about, thank God it's not a birthday party or something like that, but people are there for a good time and they're having their conversations. Synia leans over to me and she says, "Do you think he would mind if I asked him if I could sing a song?" And I looked at her and I said, "Well, of course he's going to mind if you ask him if you sing a song, because 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be a good thing." I said, "But the moment he hears you, there won't be a problem." Except now we had a problem because she didn't know any songs. She was still teaching 7th grade Spanish. It had been years since she had sung professionally, raising her son and daughter. And so we spent the next 15, 20 minutes as dinner got colder and colder. "Well, I could sing this. I think I know the words. How does this go?" Trust me, I'm not a source of lyrics. But she finally identified a song. I said, "You're going to need 2. "What do you mean?" I said, "They're going to hear you. They're going to say, more. You got to have a second song." All right, so by the time the food was taken away uneaten, she asked, and he said yes. And as I foretold, she wowed the room. "Who are you? Where are you from? Are you from the city? You're a professional singer, right?" "No, I teach Spanish in Hamden Middle School, Spanish 1 to 7th graders." "You gotta be kidding." The drinks were coming. It was fantastic. So we had a conversation in the drive home, and I said, "That was great, wasn't it?" "Yeah, it really was." I said, "You have to learn 5 songs. You just pick 5 that you like." And again, she wasn't really tuned into jazz yet, so there were pop tunes, although she did know Round Midnight. And what I learned about her then and later is that, yes, she's extremely talented, but what you saw on the stage only happened because of really, really hard work. She didn't feel like she could just come out here and sing a tune. She really had to figure out what the song meant to her, and she cared a lot about sharing that. So hard work. The next story, at different stages of our career, we both taught at this alternative high school in the community in New Haven. And during my tenure there, I had a good friend who was a guidance counselor. And she had us over for dinner. She was a single woman, Italian, Joan Avitable. And she had us over for dinner, and I was like I wasn't even in the room. Synia wowed her, Joan wowed Synia. They became very close. This was, again, another pattern. "And who are you?" "Oh, yes, I'm Mr. Synia." So they hit it off fabulously, but unfortunately, a year or so later, cancer pursued Joan, and I got a call from our circle of friends and said Joan would like us to come over to the hospital in the afternoon. This is going to be it. So I said to Synia, and she was averse to hospitals, had always been averse to hospitals. And she said, I can't go. But wait a minute. Now let me back up a little bit. Joan was Roman Catholic, all capital letters, right? very, very Catholic. She was, she was a modern woman, but she had a strong faith in the Catholic Church. I was born Catholic. You know, some people talk about themselves as being fallen Catholics. I rather describe myself as a survivor. Anyway, Synia comes back out and she's got this little linen bag. And I say, what's this? She says, oh, there's 3 touchstones in there. And I look at her, nouns, nouns. And she says, well, one has the power of this, and another one has the power of that, and another one has, I said, Synia, that's not Joan's thing. Joan is Roman Catholic, capital letters. And I'm very uncomfortable with all of it. And so I don't really think I can do this. She insisted. I delivered it. And a week or so later, we were attending Joan's memorial. And at the end of the service, I think it was her brother or a good friend came up to me and said, I just want you to know, Joan asked that when she was buried, that she requested just 2 things. Her rosary beads and a bag of stones. So it's not surprising for those of you who know her or at least have heard her sing, Synia was a deeply spiritual person and powerful. My last story. Yay! My students used to say that all the time. Yay! Had to do with our decision to move to Sarasota. So I was retired. I was working as a consultant, and Synia was still teaching 7th grade Spanish and in middle school. And it was a good job. She liked, and she was a great teacher. How do I know she was a great teacher? The Spanish 2 teachers in the 8th grade wanted her students and not the students from the other room, because her students learned Spanish 1. And how did they learn it? She got them out of their chairs, singing and dancing and learning about history and experiencing the culture to the extent possible, going out for food. Anyway, so the year before, this particular summer was the summer of 2013. We went to California to visit Janina. And that then became the excuse of having this wonderful southwestern vacation, Colorado River, Grand Canyon, lots and lots of really, really neat experiences. And we ended up back in Los Angeles and said goodbye to Nina and we'll see you soon. But we didn't fly home to Connecticut. We flew here to Sarasota to visit my friends Chris and Susan. So it's the end of August, and in Connecticut, the schools start after Labor Day, which is what any civilized people would do. So the year before, Synia had lost her principal, took a position in another district, and the new guy was a word you shouldn't say in the house of worship. So she wasn't really happy. She loved the kids, she loved her job, but she really wasn't happy to be going back to work with and for him. So she was moaning, and I offhandedly said, in Chris and Susan's living room, well, you know, a year from now, I know you're not old enough to retire, but you could. And we could be living here in Sarasota, no ice, no salt on the roads, and who knows, you know, you could resume your singing career. I said, well, look, we don't have to decide today. The school year's starting next week. Why don't you get, you know, once we get past the beginning of the school year, let's talk about it, and maybe by Christmas we'll make a decision as to whether or not you're ready to retire, we move to Sarasota or someplace. Okay, so that happens. It's the end of September. I'm thinking it's time for a meeting. So I say, so Synia, I was serious about the possibility of our going to Sarasota or someplace without ice. So I was thinking it might be time for us to have a meeting. No, she says. No? She said, no. Oh, so you don't want to do it? She said, oh, no, we're going. I missed the meeting? Yes. So, even though she started the school year and all of the anxiety, the same way that she prepared for a concert is the way she prepared for her classes, and very, very intense, up to 1 o'clock in the morning, barely getting to work on time. But she had never lost sight of the vision of the possibility that she might resume a singing career. And so we happily found ourselves here 10 months later, July 1st, 2014. And it was a wonderful move for us and a phenomenal move for her. So my closing comments. Number one is check out Synia's webpage, syniacarroll.com. We keep posting materials, and just scroll down on the beginning on her homepage. There are a lot of interesting pages, but I just put 3 videos up. One from the early 1980s when she sang in New York City, pre-jazz, very cool, early 1980s, circa 1982. Then the second video was the night that she walked into 15 South and Mr. Al Hickson was hosting. That's right. Monday night's open mic with Al at 15 South. And Synia walked in, cold. I mean, she had done her work. She knew what she was going to sing. And she signed up to sing, and Al gave everybody a chance. And she sang Lover Man. John Lamb, who's with us today, was on bass. And the incredible Billy Marcus was on keys. This was March of 2015. We'd been here less than a year. It was her first time singing jazz publicly. You've got to see this video. Wow. Wow. And Al, you're a great guy, and you immediately invited her to your annual performance here, which you called Al Hickson's Underheard Heard. And you featured her, even though you already had a program fully set that included, by the way, James Suggs, among others. And Al added Synia, and story is told. Anyway, I've taken a long time. Thank you for your patience, and thank you again for being here. It might be courteous for me to ask a good friend of Synia's that goes way back. I'll let him tell the story, Allison Brown.
Good afternoon to everyone. Yes, I am Allison. Regardless of what people think, Allison is a male's name. There's many of us. 2 L's is masculine, 1 L is feminine. So any woman who has 2 L's in their name for Allison, let them know they have a man's name. So Synia and I go back to 1976. where we met at Wesleyan University in Middletown, Connecticut. Wesleyan, great place to meet people, very diverse people of all ilks, people of all types of talents, people who come there for art, who come there for engineering, but many who come there less for music, unless you're in the music school, but those even who do a lot of other things. You know, so we met in McGonaghy Hall at the table, sitting during the first week of freshman year. You know, we all became friends. There was a bunch of us who sat there, always eating together, always talking together, always having a good time. And then there was a chance and opportunity to join the Ebony Singers. So, you know, it was one of those things where you come there, and I think the Ebony Singers that year was about 8 of us. Very, very, very few, but 8 people who were very dedicated and strong and wanted to sing, but people who came from all different kinds of backgrounds, because you think the Ebony Singers is going to be this great gospel kind of a choir, yet half the people had never sung gospel before. So we're coming there trying to learn what it is to be those who sing gospel, and you have Synia, at that point, Judy. We all knew her as Judy, and even up until towards the end of school, she was Judy. But she was more of a folk singer at that point in time of her life. We had others who came from the backgrounds of classical opera type of things, and we had a great conductor, Julius Williams, who was there singing and teaching us and forcing us into this realm of gospel music. But music was just the beginning for our relationships, because all those relationships grew until to the point in time that we really became more of a family to each other, where we did everything together. You know, we went to school, we went to class, we went out to parties, you know, we sang, whether it was just walking around together or just in the Ebony Singers. But Judy loved to sing and sang all the time, and she had her people who she sang with. So she was singing throughout Middletown. You know, she was one that I would say was her talent people recognize as being music, but her real talent was, to me, was more of a community builder, more of a friend, more of a family member to everyone. Because through her voice, through her songs, through the things that she did, and with the passion she did them, she brought people together. And that was something that she always did. And so we stayed friends throughout the years. You know, we've been friends for a long time. There's a group of us who I know are probably watching this online right now, those who could not be there. And so I became the representative for everyone in that sense, and just wanted to make sure that I was down here for Judy. Because we spoke together through her illness, before her illness. In fact, one of the hardest things that happened is just prior to her finding out that she was sick, we had another mutual friend who we had all sung with, again in the Ebony Singers, who was going through her own illness. And so she was suffering, and I'm talking to everybody. I'm going to visit her on a weekly basis to talk about how she's doing, how she's recovering. And Synia and I are talking about how we can help build the strength for our friend Alita. So Alita is ill, and Synia, literally, and I are talking maybe once a month, once every 2 weeks, just trying to make sure that we have that support. Because she's down here, I'm in New Jersey, our friend is in Connecticut. Eventually, this friend of ours passes. Synia and I talk about how much and how important it is to always be there to support people, to be there during the times that they are weak and struggling, to make sure that everyone knows how strong they are and how much they've meant to us through their entire life. And not just for them, but for their family, you know, of being there when they're gone. You know, one of the things that she said to Janina, who passed on to me, was that in her passing, as she's getting there, she said, when I leave, and I may not get the words exact, but that in her death, she inherits her friends. So that inheritance of our friendship for Synia is something that we're passing on to the family. You know, something that we want to give to them so that they can carry on and know that we carry that love for Synia in the same way that we are going to continue that love for Janina, Jesse, and the rest of the family. You know, there was a couple of other friends of ours who, when I spoke to them and said I was coming down here, they asked if I could pass on a few words for them as well. So I have a couple of little readings I will give from a few friends of ours, both in Connecticut and abroad. One is from Greg Coles. He said, make sure I tell everybody that Synia was a community builder, taking us off campus and into the local community. Her singing gigs brought us away from campus center and in town where we could just enjoy her singing and enjoy one another. Another friend of ours, and you see here a picture in a little black and white in the back. They were roommates for a long time. That was Cheryl Amos Riddick. She wrote to me and said, memories are flooding my mind this morning. Synia and I would sing at the pop-up ice cream parlors around campus. Always saying I get by with a little help from my friends. People always ask her to sing The Eagle. Another memory, of course, is the Ebony Singers. And one of her favorite songs was Be Grateful. Synia opened that song with a spirit that filled our hearts and lifted our voices. Blessings for this day. And there's another one story which I think everyone will appreciate. So the two little things she said that happened is that one year they were invited to Yale University. The Ebony Singers were to sing backup for Stevie Wonder. So what's interesting about that is that they're supposed to sing back for Stevie Wonder, and all these people are thinking, what should we do? How should we dress? We want to make sure that we dress very well to impress Stevie Wonder, until all of a sudden they remembered he's blind. You know, does it really make a difference what we wear? He's vision impaired. Then it turned out that there was a snowstorm anyway in Chicago. The flight got canceled, never made it to the concert. It got canceled, but instead Stevie Wonder sent them all autographed copies of The Key of Life. You know, but Synia will always live with all of us. You know, you have somebody like that. You have a heart and a soul and a spirit that just lifts you every time you think about her, whether it's in her voice, whether it's just in her presence, whether it's just in the way that she held you when you gave her a hug. Those who know, she would give a nice embrace that you felt that you were loved just from holding her for that instant. So as I leave you, and I don't want to be up here long, I just want you all to remember just every minute that you shared with her, those times that felt so special between you and her, because she made you, each of you, as an individual feel special. It wasn't a group. She looked at you, and when she looked at you, it was in your eyes, into your heart, and you were the only thing she was thinking about at that time. Have a good day.
Hi, my name is Will Galison, and I've known Synia since around the same time Allison met her, a little later actually, also at Wesleyan University. And we met, I don't remember how it, you're dealing here with a memory impaired person, so I'm going to do the very best I can. But we sang in a trio. We did popular songs, Beatles songs, folk songs, with me and a fellow named Kurt, and Synia, who I knew as Judy also. And it was very difficult for me to make that transition, but eventually I got there. And I just was stunned by her voice at that time. I was not a great singer, a better guitarist than a singer, and I was the weak link in the vocal trio. But I just thought this is the voice of an angel, and we continued keeping in touch after Wesleyan. I lived in Greenwich Village near Bleecker Street, and I had a steady gig at a place called Preachers, and Synia would come in I don't remember how many times, but it was dozens of times, and sing with us, and sing a few songs, and it was just such a delight and an honor to have her there. At that time, I wrote a song, a naive and exuberant song called Overdose of Love, and I recorded it with Synia. I so wish I could find that recording. It's somewhere, and when I do find it, I'll post it on her web page. But the song, one of the lyrics was, "I've got an overdose of love, and my supply is high above. I've taken more than I can bear. I've got to share my overdose of love." And she sang that with such the perfect enthusiasm, and even though it was a kind of a naive lyric, she transformed the song, and I was so proud to have her on singing that, and it really spoke to her loving nature as well. That's the way you felt with her. She had an overdose of love, and she shared it. Synia and I, in many ways, were very, very similar. It turns out we're both double Pisces, and born in the same year, and a few days apart. And I think we shared the good aspects of Pisces and perhaps the not such attractive ones as well. I think we're both very creative and compassionate and full of love and life, but fastidiousness and organization were not particularly our strong suits, which may be the reason we never dated, because I think we just both instinctively knew that would be too much of a of the same thing. I want to. So after the '80s, when we played together, we lost touch for quite a while. I mean, and maybe 20 years, and I don't remember exactly the circumstances of our meeting again. It was down here, and it was such a delight to see her, and it was one of those moments where you see someone and it feels like no time has passed at all. And one of the things, we shared our musical experiences and our life experiences, and somehow the subject of a friend of mine turned out to be a mutual friend, and a very important person came up. His name was Brother Blue. He was a storyteller who, a very tall, elegant black man who looked like a Maasai warrior. But he always wore blue denim with a big blue floppy hat, and he was covered with butterflies, with pins and stickers and patches of butterflies. And he was associated with Harvard. I had gone to Berklee College of Music when I was 17, and I used to listen. He had a radio show, and he would tell stories. Unfortunately, there's not too much of him on the internet, but there's an archive somewhere of hundreds of stories, because every night he would tell a story, and I would fall asleep listening to Brother Blue. Excuse me. It was very much appealed to something very deep inside me. The only person I know, it turned out to who also knew Brother Blue was Synia. She had worked with him as a storyteller and was very influenced by him, and had the same soul connection to Brother Blue as I had. So that was that was quite amazing to me. Pardon me. I'm looking at my notes here, and I have okay. So after we reconnected, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, we stayed in touch, and we did some musical projects together. She sang background on a few of my songs that I recorded, and I ended up playing on her final record, and actually I was involved in setting her up with the producer, and it all worked out extraordinarily well. And one thing I'm extremely grateful for is that Synia had the chance to make that record. And if anyone hasn't heard Water Is My Song, I hope you will, because it's just a beautiful piece of work. And I had the honor of playing harmonica on one of the songs. And she came up, I don't know, it was just a year ago, I think, and had an album introduction party at my place. I could fit around 30 people with a wonderful band, and she tore it up. I've had a number of concerts at my place, but this was so special. And that's when I met Janina. I believe that was the time, yeah, which was great. And that memory will always stay with me. And the musicians who participated in the record all were devastated to hear about Synia, and they all just loved working with her so much. And you can hear that in the record. Just wanted to say, last time I was here, Synia and I took a walk down to a lake that's at the end of the road in their community. And when Allison mentioned that she liked to sing the Eagle, a song called The Eagle, which is a gorgeous song and is so evocative of Synia for me, we were walking along, and a bald eagle flew so close to us that we could literally feel the wind from his wings. I just saw this thing out of the corner of my eye. It was this enormous bird, I don't know, 5-6 feet in wingspan, just went whoosh, right past us and glided up to the top of a tall tree where its mate was sitting, and we were just gobsmacked by that. But I'm so grateful that I felt like it was a sign, and I know that Synia's spirit is soaring now. Pardon me. I just want to say that one other thing is Allison talked about, and Ed also, about Synia's generosity and gifts that she gave, not only in addition to the gifts of her beautiful person, but every time she came to visit me, she would leave me with some little gift, some coffee cups, some wooden mushrooms, which had a special meaning to me, and did I say that? Yeah, and also a salt lamp, beautiful rose-colored Tibetan salt lamp. And I'd always loved those things, but somehow I felt that was just too new agey for me. It didn't fit into my. I'm pretty darn new agey. I don't know why I felt that way, but I thought it was a little too much for me to have one in my apartment. And she, sure enough, brought one, a surprise gift. And it was just one of those things that I knew I wanted, but for some reason I felt shy about having one. And now it sits on my piano, and it's on day and night. When I walk out of my bedroom at night, there it is shining, and for me that's a beacon of Synia's spirit and beauty. And the glow that comes from that reminds me of the glow that came from her. So I just want to say that there were such gaps in our seeing each other, especially that 20-year such gap, that it's hard for me to process the fact that she's no longer here, because there were long periods of time when I didn't see her, and it just feels like, well, it's just a matter of time. And I do believe it's just a matter of time. She's with me every day, and as a source of grace and all the things I care about, and I'm sure that we will see each other again sooner or later. I look forward to that. Thank you so much.
So, I am my mother's daughter, but I don't share the love of everyone staring at me right now. I tried to write a lot of things, and it just wasn't happening. So this is just off the top of my head. I can't really say everybody's name that I want to thank, because we would just be here all day, and I don't want to leave anybody out, because it doesn't seem fair that I'm doing this yet. And I just, oh God, I don't know, I'm sorry. So back with the, back where all the pictures are, there are some baskets with bangles and jewelry, and everyone would just take a piece with you to remember to have, and because I have too much of it and I don't know what to do with it. No, but really take something beautiful, you know, of hers, because I don't know, I mean, she's so here for me still. I don't feel her gone. The world just feels a little different. We had a lot of plans for this summer, and I'm still gonna do as much as I can to do those plans. I just miss her. That's it. Thank you guys for being here. Love you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I just want to give my condolences to the family and the friends and all the people that have come here and supported Synia over the years. And I know y'all remember this. Oh, she was baskets of things, always single and she made sure you gave them out. Make sure you give them out to everybody when they did that. What's that song? I said, Synia, but everybody's not gonna give it back. Make sure you collect. Well, I gotta wait. I still got one. Oh, God. No, I don't even like it, but thank you. I have a big mouth, people tell me. And so, I didn't know what to sing, you know, when I was selecting a song to sing for Synia. And then I played her CD all day long. So I figured, you know, okay, I got this. Okay. But I love Synia. The last time I saw her, we were laying in the bed together, hugging each other, kissing and loving each other. And it was good being with her. Picked up from the hospital. Oh, it's you too? Okay. All right, now. YouTube, can you hear me? Oh my God, it's so loud. YouTube, can you hear me now? Oh my God, it's loud. Well, they have to hear, I get it. Okay, so I picked her up from the hospital the last time she was there, and I'm gonna kind of not hold it. It's loud. And so we were in my convertible with our hair down, flying around town, and then stopped at the drugstore and scooted on home. So I was like, oh my God, Synia, I can't believe that you're doing Wade in the Water, which is like one of my favorite songs forever. And it's a story about Wade in the Water that is so wonderful and so spiritual, because the River Jordan, the Israelites crossed over the River Jordan for freedom. And then it also, African Americans used the Wade in the Water song for beach segregation. So they would get out of their cars, caravan, right after church with their little white outfits on and go wade in the water. That was an African-American song for all people. And then we had Harriet Tubman. It was a freedom of slavery, and she did Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, which had so much meaning. Where you're gonna go, who's gonna be there, what you're gonna bring, crossing the river. So those songs were so good. I was like, go ahead, Synia. You trying to bring it out, huh? And she said, I am. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Who's that man dressed in white? God's gonna trouble the water. Who's that man dressed in white? God's gonna trouble the water. Sing, y'all. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Sweet Lord, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Sweet Lord, sweet chariot, they were coming forth to carry me home. Well, I looked over Jordan, and what did I see? Coming forth to carry me home, a band of angels. They were coming after me. They were coming forth to carry me home. Sweet Lord, sweet chariot, sing y'all, coming forth. Sweet Lord, sweet chariot, they were coming forth to carry me home. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, oh, but now I'm found. I was blind, oh, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, but through grace all of my fears were relieved. How precious was that day I first believed. He's got the whole world. He's got the whole wide world. He's got the whole world. He's got the whole world in his hand. He's got me, brother, in his hand. He's got me, brother, in his hand. He's got me, brother, in his hand.
Yeah, I often say, I think what I liked so much about going to church was that I could sing and no one would tell me to be quiet. You know? So I love when we get to sing together. And I'm in awe of those who have such great musical prowess. We'll end, our benediction will be a call and response by Robert Gittleson called We Remember Her. And I'll read a line and then I'll invite you to say, we remember her. Well, let's try that. We remember her. In the rising of the sun and its going down. We remember her. In the blowing of the wind and in the cold of winter. We remember her. In the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring. We remember her. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer. We remember her. In the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn. We remember her. In the beginning of the year and when it ends. We remember her. When we are weary and in need of strength. We remember her. When we are lost and sick at heart. We remember her. When we have joys we yearn to share. We remember her. For as long as we live, she too shall live, for she is now a part of us as we remember her. We will extinguish the chalice in a moment. The family, please, after we do that, the music will play. You're welcome to sit and listen. Allow the family to leave first, and there'll be some refreshments and drinks in the courtyard. So now, we will extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of the Spirit. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you all for your presence here today, and go forth and bring joy and love to all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.